The roar of a diesel engine at 7 a.m. tossed me out of bed, sounding like a beast gagging on morning fog. I staggered outside in slippers, coffee in hand, and stopped. Froze a tow truck backing down my boat ramp. Chains clanking, lifting my 2 fiberglass kayaks like stolen goods from a caper film. The driver gave a half-hearted wave, as if he was merely doing his job close by. Cynthia Reed stood smugly clipboard in hand, wearing a neon vest emblazed with Lake Patrol volunteer sipping lemon-infused water, like she was ruling a royal court that time, gazing at my kayak swing. I knew she'd waged war, not just against me, but against reason itself. I'm Nathan, and Crystal Cove isn't my home, it's life. I inherited this lakeside property from my grandfather, a biologist who devoted his years to defending its ecosystem. I own most of the shoreline and possess legal rights to its decades-long environmental management. The cove was my haven, kayaking, advising on water systems, breathing in the peace that was altered a year ago when a new development popped up on the north side, bringing an HOA hell-bent on control within months. Cynthia was installed president, strutting around with a self-awarded vest like she was queen of the kingdom. She began small flyers regarding noise infractions, requests for uniform dock paint, courteous prods turned tyrannical. I broke her until a 40-page lake use manual came out proclaiming my cove to be a community asset that required her attention. She established a lake compliance unit with her sycophantists Tom and Linda, taking our measurements and finding children for unauthorized floaties. It was hilarious until it wasn't her rules. Intensified no private kayaks, no unauthorized docks, HOA-approved paddle boats only. They had a surreal vessel blessing for their gaudy rental boats right out of a theme park reject pile. I avoided it until it hit my client. Marcus, a veteran with a prosthetic arm, utilized my kayaks for therapy one morning. Linda and Tom cornered him, accusing him of illegal boating. Marcus contacted me. Humiliated, I apologized and then checked my dock. Me kayaks were gone. Security footage showed an HOA contractor towing them at dawn. No warning, no notice. That's when I understood Cynthia hadn't just crossed a line, she'd burned it. I stormed to the HOA office, a sterile space smelling of lavender and ego. Cynthia sat at a desk with a sign Lake Harmony officer smiling like shark. I insisted on my kayaks. She pushed me a slick rulebook referring to Section 12 Clause B, concerning unapproved boats when I told her I never signed off on her rules. She guffawed, saying the HOA ruled lake access in order to assure aesthetically coherent. I didn't scream. I stormed out her snuck mess, inciting a scheme she was unaware of, Crystal Cove being my inheritance attached to a conservation contract, granting my family ecological power by targeting my kayaks. She had roused a struggle she couldn't finish at home. I uncovered my grandfather's agreement with the state that gave us dominion over water levels, sediment, and floodgates for the southern half of the cove. I phoned my attorney, Elena, a property rights specialist. I forwarded her the tow truck video. She did not laugh. She said, "Time to show them who owns the water." That evening, beside edge of the lake, I followed the worn paint on the door of the valve shed. I wouldn't yell or sue. I'd allow the lake itself to vocalize, teaching a lesson. The HOA of Cynthia couldn't deny. Sleep danced out of reach the plan, throbbing with each creak of my cabin. This wasn't revenge, it was justice, grounded in the natural principles of the cove. At dawn, I submitted a notice of maintenance to the Department of Water Resources, citing my entitlement to lower the lake for ecological work. The valve system, hidden in a shed mistaken for a storage hunt, controlled water flow. My grandfather designed it to balance droughts and floods, a rare private stewardship deal. Elena sent the county a formal notice invoking clauses that suspended lake access during maintenance for safety. Legally, I was untouchable. She called it weaponized conservation. I called it reclaiming balance. By noon, I'd installed pump regulators and adjusted sediment channels. The work was quiet, just hums and gravity by the afternoon. A thin line of silt designated the receding water. Most wouldn't even notice, but I recorded each step, levels, soil photos. Like some scientist, which is what I was. I posted a sign by the HOA's lake trail, ecological maintenance in progress, water levels, may change it. Had a QR code connecting to my county permit. I wanted transparency, not drama that night. Tom showed up, scowl tight, demanding answers. I gave iced tea and nodded toward the QR code. He scanned it, read the permit, and pawed. Does Cynthia know? He grumbled. She will? I said he left tea untouched by morning. The lake had fallen 8 inches, stranding the HOA's floating Dakagati platform for their wine and cheese parties, its barrels poorly anchored tipped spilling chairs into the mud. Linda attempted salvaging them with a pool net, cursing as mud splashed her. I stood watching from my porch drinking coffee as her anger rang out. Elena texted a screenshot from a local forum, cove or crater. Hose Lake fiasco comments vary from alien conspiracies to jabs at Cynthia's lake empire. I laughed, but tension simmered on day 3. Cynthia called an emergency HOA meeting under a pavilion. Their speaker system carried her rant. "This is sabotage," Tom said my permit. Linda blamed algae when Cynthia read Elena's filing. She went quiet, then threw her clipboard screaming about conspiracies. I remained out of view, allowing her to spin a news van pulled up, capturing residents with muddy boots. The headline, HOA dries up. Cove plot or protocol. I refused comment. The lake's shrinking, said more. Cynthia fought back with a restraining order, alleging I threatened wildlife. Elena laughed, filing a counter-motion with drone images of HOA contractors illegally dredging for their dock months prior in court. Cynthia came armed with a binder, and Tom and Linda, who appeared miserable. Elena introduced our thin folder and made the video. Bulldozer's gravel was dumped. No. There were no Cynthia's call for her permits. No noise. The order was refused, and the HOA was dealt with an environmental violation investigation. Cynthia's face drained. Linda demanded Elena hand over the video online. Cove disaster trended memes ridiculed Cynthia wading mud, captioned, "From kayaks to quagmire, residents questioned HOA fees and ignored rules." Teens organized mudfest soccer matches around stranded piers. Retirees fished puddles wearing one of the Crater Angler shirt stickers say, "Drained, not done." The HOA's grip weakened. My wildlife cameras recorded the final blow, Cynthia in black sneaking to a pump at 2 a.m. with bolt cutters. She attempted shutting a valve, slipped and face-planted in sludge. She kicked the pump and limped off. I sent the video to Elena, who sent it to the county. It leaked, airing as HOA chief's muddy meltdown with slow-motion replays. Social media erupted GIFs, TikTok sounds. Cynthia's sludge drama at an HOA meeting, only 9 showed up. 7 had ousted Cynthia. She yelled about cartels at a potluck, walked out by pie-wielding neighbors. Her home went on the market. She relocated to a drone-free neighborhood, a new HOA board headed by Clara. A pragmatic botanist suggested co-managing the lake with me. We signed an agreement over coffee, putting balance over control. I restored the lake's flow water, seeping back slowly. Like a shy friend, kids cheered as puddles increased. Fishermen came back. A teenager painted a sign. Crystal Cove, respect. The water, respect one another. No party docks. I had a party, sodas, sandwiches, new kayaks for Marcus. He paddled with his grandkids, their laughter healing old wounds. Neighbors brought pies, stories. No rule books. A girl imitated a reporter declaring the cove's resurrection as the sun set. I stood at the dock, Marcus's kayak gliding over the water. A postcard of peace. Clara's HOA abandoned pledges and flags. The cove took a breath, reads upright frogs, loud fish zipping. I began a blog. Cove Chronicles, sharing the epic with humor. Readers questioned how to battle HOAs. I counseled patience permits. And perhaps a pump spring brought nesting birds and paddled paddle boats. The lake was simply Crystal Cove. Again titles. No wars under the stars, with guitar strums and faraway laughter. I felt the tranquility my grandfather battled. It began with 2 kayaks and a neon vest. But it all ended with a lake, renewed a community together. And Cynthia's dynasty plunged in the mire. She fell.